Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Arif Aiman bin Muhammad Fauzi. Metric number is 078642. For today, I will present about crisis management case study on Bali bombings 2002, Lahad Datu Standoff 2013, and South Thailand Insurgency, which is still ongoing. So this is the picture I have provided of each case study. For introduction, Bali bombings on October 12 in 2002, the tropical island of Bali in Indonesia suffered from a horrific act of terrorism which stands out as one of the deadliest terrorist attacks in Southeast Asia, that more than 4,500 people have been killed and over 9,000 wounded, including tourists from different countries, which is mainly from Australia. Next, Lahad Datu. In February 2013, Malaysia faced a standoff in Lahad Datu, Sabah, when over 200 armed militants from the Philippines landed on Malaysia. The militants self-proclaimed as Royal Security Force of the Sultanate of Sulu and North Borneo and asserted historical claims over the territory they believe belonged to their sultanate. And the last one is South Thailand Insurgency. Since 4th January 2004 is an ongoing conflict centered in southern Thailand. This region has been involved in a long-running insurgency driven by ethnic and religious dispute between the majorities of the Buddhist Thai state and the Muslim Malay in southern Thailand, which consists Yala, Narathiwat, Patani, and Songkhla. What is the purpose of the write-up? The purpose is to deeper understanding the diverse nature of security threats, to understand how different nations respond to the crisis, and to appreciate the human dimension at the heart of every conflict. Through this comparative, we can take a lesson about resilience, cooperation, and the importance of addressing underlying issues before they escalate to the worst. Let's talk about the case study analysis. For Bali bombings, pre-crisis assessment, the tragedy was planned by Jemaah Islamiyah, also known as JI, a Southeast Asian radical Islamist group associated with Al-Qaeda. This attack mainly targeted iconic tourist spots in Kuta Bali, with two bombs, where one was in nightclub and the other in a nearby bar, which is Paddy's Pub. So they have bombed two different places. For crisis response, during the tragedy, Indonesian authorities, locals and visitors came together to rescue survivors, transport the injured to hospital and recover the remains of those who killed. And also, the Indonesian government, with assistance from other countries, reacted quickly to this attack. And the last one is post-crisis recovery. After the crisis happened, efforts have been made to address survivors' trauma from the attack and preventing future attacks from happening again. Next, tourism is an important economic contributor in Bali, which is Bali is a spot for tourists from any countries. The last one is the government of Indonesia did many other things to help in the recuperation of the local community. For Lahad Datu Standoff 2013, pre-crisis, the Lahad Datu Standoff lie in historical and theoretical disputes. This standoff occurred in Tanduo, Kampung Tanduo, Lahad Datu, and occurred from 20 February to March 25 in 2013. After weeks of negotiation and several deadlines for the group to withdraw, the killing of 4 local policemen prompted Malaysian security force to flush out the militants with military operations. Crisis response. The crisis response began with attempts by negotiation to avoid bloodshed happen. When these efforts failed, Malaysian security force launched called Operation Daulat, a full-scale military offensive that involves airstrike and ground battles. The operation lasted several weeks, but resulting in the deaths of dozens of militants and the captures of others. Last one, post-crisis, the immediate priorities that followed after the crisis was addressing the humanitarian needs in the affected communities. Besides, thousands of villagers displaced their homes, fearing for their life. And also, the government responded promptly to provide temporary shelter and food for such people. There was a lack of long-term vision for its recovery process to be sustainable. The last case study analysis is South Thailand Insurgency. For pre-crisis, before the outbreak of the insurgency, several warning signs were evident. For example, persistent poverty and a lack of meaningful political representation for the local population. The Thai government efforts to assimilate the region. For crisis response, the Thai government's initial response was mostly focused on military. After that, the state declared military law and then launched all-out military operations to eliminate the insurgency. The strategies proved ineffective against an insurgent which consists mainly of young local people. For post-crisis recovery, since the crisis has been focused on restoring confidence between the state and the local communities, especially in areas that ensure more participatory local governance structures for the Malay Muslim. And then, after the incident happened, the government start recognizing the importance of local voice and increasingly involve community leaders, religious scholars, and civil society organization in dialogue process. Next, let's talk about the challenges and successes. For Bali bombing, the challenges is the incident left several local business owners facing financial ruin when they had discovered their source of income. And also, the government is pressured to demonstrate effective counter-terrorism measures while balancing its reputation as a peaceful destination. For success, the Indonesian government and local stakeholders implemented numerous strategies aimed at restoring safety and promoting recovery by launching marketing campaign to rebuild trust and highlight Bali's recovery like before. At the same time, the security measures were strengthened. For Lahad Datu Standoff, the challenges is tourist arrivals dropping due to the crisis. This situation has a big impact on the government and tourism industry of Sabah, and also immediate drop in booking during and after the crisis. The local economy, which depend on tourism for growth, was immediately impacted. For successes, a combination of military action and diplomacy allowed the Malaysian government to end the standoff. And also, government worked closely with the tourism sector to mitigate the impact of the crisis to rebuild back Sabah. And the last one is South Thailand Insurgency. For their challenges, government in regions like Southern Thailand face significant challenge due to ongoing violence and political instability. Next, the violence has not only disrupted daily life but also weakened the trust of potential visitors, leading to a substantial decline in tourism revenue. For their successes, in response to declining numbers of tourists, some regions have shifted focus to cultural tourism, promoting local tradition and heritage as unique attraction. Last but not least, this strategy can help counter the negative impact of violence by highlighting aspects of local culture that are appealing to niche market interests of some tourists. Okay, next is similarities and differences of each case studies. For similarities, I divide to three points. First is terrorism and violence. Each of the three case studies include acts of violence based on political or ideological reasons. Bali bombing specifically aimed at tourists and led to 202 fatalities. Lahad Datu included attacks by a faction declaring loyalty to the Sultanate of Sulu, resulting in confrontation with the Malaysian military. And South Thailand Insurgency is defined by continual violence from separatist tribes aiming for independence from the Thai authorities. The next point is effect on civilians. Each crisis resulted in significant civilian casualties and heightened anxiety among local residents. And then the Bali bombings primarily affected tourists, while the Lahad Datu crisis and South Thailand Insurgency led to significant civilian deaths and displacement in their respective regions. And the last point is government response. In each case, governments implement strict action to counter the dangers. Military intervention and heightened security measures were present in every situation. After the Bali bombings, Indonesia increased its measure against terrorism. In Lahad Datu, Malaysia has sent military force to address the armed group, while Thailand has utilized military and police action to counter the insurgent. So next is the differences in terms of ideologies. For Bali bombings, these crises were related to Islamic extremist group Jemaah Islamiyah (JI), which seeking to create an Islamic caliphate in Southeast Asia. And Bali bombings aim to cause the highest number of casualties possible and generate fear and instability to weaken the Indonesian government. For South Thailand's insurgency, this insurgency is fueled by the ethnic and religious goals of the Malay Muslim community in the southern Thailand. And also, the rebels want more self-rule or separation from the mostly Buddhist Thai government due to historical injustice, cultural disparities, and alleged bias. And the last one is Lahad Datu. This crisis was based on historical territorial disputes and ethnic identity. The Royal Sulu Army, which declared itself, made an incursion in Lahad Datu, Sabah, Malaysia, asserting historical rights to the land. And lastly, their main goal was to reaffirm their historical right to Sabah, which they felt had been unfairly seized from the Sultanate of Sulu. What is the effectiveness of different crises? So, for Bali bombings, the immediate crisis management plan and strategies involve rapid emergency response, medical assistance, and security operations to prevent further attacks. And then, the attention of the people was led toward the recovery process after the event and rebuilding the spot to be a secure destination for tourists, because of the Bali bombings is very important for Indonesia government and also in tourism industry. Next, in Lahad Datu, the government was prompt to act as the deployment of security force ensure and help in eradicating that threat within weeks, beside diplomatic efforts being simultaneously resorted to resolve the inciting issues. Next, although the threat was eventually mitigated by the military force, the early attempts at diplomacy was unsuccessful, resulting in an extended conflict. Last but not least, South Thailand Insurgency. Security measures development, including checkpoints, surveillance, and military operations, have been implemented by the authorities from the occurrence of any rebellion. And then these actions have seen the government achieve some successes in decreasing the level of violence, yet the rebellion has proved to be long-standing and with persistent challenges. Long-term impacts. For Bali bombings, economically, Bali faced a protracted period of recovery. It took several years for tourist arrivals to return to pre-attack levels, and even with a greater emphasis on domestic and regional tourism initially. Next, the bombing also encouraged a significant investment in security infrastructure and procedures, both at the airport and throughout the island. For Lahad Datu, in the days and weeks just after the crisis, tourist arrivals dropped drastically, particularly in coastal areas. Most of the tour operators cancelled the trips, and hotels reported declines in their occupancy rates. South Thailand Insurgency. The province has faced significant declines in income from tourism, preventing growth and worsening imbalance that already exists. And then many businesses in the tourism sector have shut down. Most of each case study, the impact is economically. Before I go to the conclusion, I have a recommendation for those case studies. In terms of preparedness, proper planning should emphasize why the government should develop a well crisis management plan as a preparation. They also can include a risk assessment for unexpected crises such as security threats, medical emergencies, and natural disasters. In terms of communication, they can develop effective and clear communication is vital in managing the crisis, whether pre-crisis, during, and post-crisis. Next, authorities can provide a verified communication tools such as social media like Facebook or phone messenger to deliver accurate information directly to the civilians. Last but not least, the collaboration. The response of those case studies demonstrate the importance of the collaboration between various stakeholders like government agencies, local communities, and international partners. For instance, collaboration with health organizations help provide security services of any serious crisis, such as the crisis of Bali bombings in 2002. For the conclusion, there are different backgrounds of each crisis. Based on the case study analysis, each crisis faced diversity of challenges and successes that have been implemented by tourism industries and governments. In terms of comparative analysis, some part of three cases had similarities and differences. However, the comparative part is mainly focused on make a comparison with different strategies that give long-term impacts on the destinations. So that's all from me. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum.